This is RF from Country Lunch on WOOL 91.5 FM from Bellows, Vermont. Let's get back with part three of our February 12th interview with Paleo Mountain Man and Budcat 7. If that was my rock, I would probably paint eyes on it and then send it to Facebook for an icon. You know, it's like one of them happy
Yeah.
faces.
You're a capitalist.
Yeah, well, it's a happy face. There's something in there that doesn't say serpent. It says happy.
It's not malevolent, it's benevolent. You can have two faces in one face. One side of the face is a normal looking face. The other side is a hollowed out shell looking type of a face. And if you put those two together, you get the whole of a person. We both have those two sides to us. And it's not a bad thing to have that in you. If you face it, if you face your other face, you'll actually learn something about yourself. And that's what these people were about, I believe, is they were trying to show people in the future, or their own people, or themselves, that you can make anything divine if your life is divine. So a serpent wall can be divine. It doesn't have to be worthless. It doesn't have to be useless. It can tell stories about things that are divine to you. Whatever that story is, it'll speak to you about what you need. If you see a story in the wall, or the wall itself, or think about walls, use those to reach your divine. Your serpent is your wisdom. You are the serpent. And every time you overcome difficulties in your life, you slay serpents. They make you stronger. And if we can get this kind of thinking out of those type of people, maybe they weren't savages. Maybe they were enlightened beings that were trying to tell us something. And if all of this can come out of a stone wall, what else can come out of a stone wall? And it's not the stone wall, it's what the people put into it. It's the intent that they put into it. And if you bang your head hard enough on the ceiling, I don't know if you'll ever get through to get up there onto the floor above. You have to go out of the box, climb up the stairs, and get onto the floor above and jump up and down on it. Now your ceiling is your floor, and you have another ceiling. You can bang your head on that one as long as you can, but if you get on the outside of it, climb up, you'll stand on that ceiling. The same with stone walls. If we think of them as stone walls and not representing what they really are, which is a way to proceed in this world, ancient wisdom.
We're missing it.
It's the missing link. Sure, it's the missing answer is why. The why did they build these? It's not the how. It's not how you lift a stone. It's why do you lift it in the first place? And it's because of those things, I think. And they left that to us.
And what you build as well. I mean, as you said,
it's what's important to you.
They planned this out. It wasn't just willy-nilly or whatever it is. And as we know, all of the walls are sacred because all of the walls are the serpent or the snake. So every single wall is a sacred and ceremonial thing. And that's what you miss when you listen to the mainstream talk about it, that they're just going to say, oh, they're just clearing piles or deposits for farmers' stones. You miss the whole story. And I guess that's the intent. They want you to miss the whole story.
But the story is so powerful that it still lives, it's still alive, and it still can change lives and minds and hearts. And that's what it's for. Think about a people that you can say they left the best of themselves for the future. Why would they leave the worst of themselves? Why not the best? Why would a wall be trivial? Is the best of them trivial? I think it's the best of them, and that's the best way they had to portray it. And you can find the answers because we're all human.
There. It's in the walls. The answer is in the walls. It's just that certain people are receptive to it, like us, for instance, like you, Jimmy, especially. There's people who are out there who are receptive to the messages of the stone walls, but Not a lot of them, because everybody's thoughts about it have been, shut down by, the current story that's, a popular story about what they are. But the messages are there. Like you said, it's an intuitive reading of the stone walls.
I have a
It's,
question.
it's,
I have a question. Do you watch the History Channel? Do you watch the Vikings?
I've seen it.
no, I haven't watched that. I haven't watched TV in a long time. I'm not,
Do you
I'm not
think
a big
any of
TV
the
watcher.
stone walls could have been built by Vikings? I know they have a large structure in Newport, Rhode Island, which has been said that the Vikings built that when they reached this continent. Do you think any of the stone walls relate to their building of stuff? They were farmers.
I don't think so, to be honest with you. I really don't think so. I think the Vikings might have visited the Americas, but I think everybody in the past visited the Americas. I'm going to do on my channel real soon what the current archaeology and anthropology by the Smithsonian is, and that is currently today, okay, that there's no more Bering Strait crossing. That's out of the lexicon. That's out of history now. They don't believe that, because every time they had an archaeological dig up along the west coast, up into Alaska there, they could never find the people or the animals crossing over the Bering Land Strait at the times that they thought they were doing it. So they've abandoned that idea totally. Now they're saying that whoever came here to this country didn't cross the land strait while the glaciers melted. They're saying that they came by boat. So if people came here by boat 12,000 years ago, then it's completely open. Anybody could have came by boat from anywhere during this whole entire time since 12,000 years ago. So it opened up a whole can of worms there. Their researchers opened up a whole can of worms. I don't know if they realized it or whatever, but if people were crossing here by boat 12,000 years ago, there's no reason to say that everybody in this world crossed over by boat. And I think
Boats
that's
go
what
both
they were
ways.
doing. I think that's what the Vikings were doing. I think that's what the Phoenicians were doing. I think that's what the Egyptians were doing. They were all coming here. They were trying to. There were people here already, and those people here already were highly organized. They knew what resources were here, and they were harvesting those resources for centuries, millennia. They knew how to do it, and it seems to be evidence of this kind of trade going on, this transoceanic trade going on. So, I mean, like I said, if the Smithsonian wants to say that people were crossing over by boat at the time of the Bering Land Strait, at the time of the Ice Age, 12,000 years ago, well, that means anybody could cross by boat at any time during any of the ages. So
Right, and
I think,
the Vikings, they weren't here visiting. They colonized. They knew they were expanding in every country they
well,
went into.
I have my own research on this.
They
Okay?
left people here to live on their own, and they went back.
They left people here, but they left people here to make sure that business was taken care of properly. We have today what they call free trade zones. If you go to any airport around the United States, there's an area of the airport. It's an international zone. And in that international zone, people from various countries who are doing business here in the United States have offices, they have, infrastructure there. They have everything in place to ensure that they're going to get the delivery of their goods, the security of their goods. You got to understand, these trading relationships often set up these kind of dynamics, okay? So what you want of a place far away that you're doing business with, getting resources from, getting material from, food sources, whatever it may be, these relationships develop. And so to ensure that this manner of trade continues unbroken, okay, you need your agents in the area that these things are grown and that's why there's not only evidence of the Vikings being here, there's evidence of the Phoenicians being here, there's evidence of the Africans being in the Americas, there's evidence of the Chinese being in the Americas, there's evidence of all these people being in the Americas. Well, what are they here for? If there's people here already, it's going to be hard to colonize, as we know from our American history, right? It wasn't easy to colonize here. We had to have wars with all the native peoples, and until the bitter end. Okay, well, it would have been no different for anybody else visiting here in the past. But if you have a trade relationship with people here already, you want to ensure, especially if it's on a massive scale, you want to ensure the security of that trading relationship. You want to ensure the continuity of that trading relationship. So what you're going to do is you're going to send your representatives over there to establish a trade zone, and you're going to live in that trade zone and make sure that your relationship with the people that you're trading with is a good relationship. Okay, so if there's evidence of all these different people from all these different civilizations visiting America in the past, and there were people here already who are engaged in advanced agriculture, advanced astronomy, advanced mathematics, advanced engineering, that you wouldn't be colonizing over here. You would be dealing with them. You would be trading with them. You would be gathering resources from here. Okay? So that's what it's all about. It's not about colonization, because it's going to be hard to colonize a place like New England. When we look at the stone walls on the LiDAR map and we see that the whole entire region, from New York to Maine to New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, Canada, were filled with people that were already here. How could you possibly colonize over here? Not without somebody saying,
Dave.
okay.
You know where I realized what was going on? Growing up, I have an awareness of the pilgrims coming here and Christopher Columbus coming to this continent. Now, I'm looking at 1 to 3 ships or something that traveled, and then you go and study what was actually happening back there. Is the ocean looked like the New York Thruway out there? You know what I mean? It was full of ships and traders and slavers, but they don't tell you about that. They do not tell you. They tell you how good the pilgrims were. They tell you how great Columbus was because of progress that went that way, but they don't tell you all the bad activity that was happening.
You know what, Al? That's for public consumption. That's for our consumption without getting too far into it. But if you go and take a college course on history or whatever, you're going to learn about the Chinese visiting America. You're going to learn about other cultures visiting, at least the possibility of. You're going to learn all those things if you go to college. Okay, but if you're just in high school or compulsory school, you're just going to learn what they want you to learn, and they're not going to give you the whole story. It's not necessary to give you the whole story.
Right at that time, right. That's where your life would probably come to a halt right there if they told you the truth.
Yeah,
I always wondered why I saw whales and sea turtles in the woods, 100, 200 miles from the coast, and it's because these people were familiar with them. And it told me there had to be a seafaring culture when you see breaching whales.
It's mentioned again and again in the mainstream literature that these people were seafaring culture people. That's the bounty of the sea is like unlimited almost. You can hunt fox and bear and deer and elk and moose, but that's not unlimited, but it seems that the sea has almost unlimited resources, and we see evidence of this. Like, for instance, Jimmy and I hunting around up there in Vermont, we go down some obscure trail and we find a sluice, a sluice for a fish, stocking, and it's an ancient construction. It's obviously an ancient construction, right, Jimmy?
When I saw my first one and recognized it, it blew my mind, because you'd walk by it 100 times, but it was there, and that's what it was, and you could see that's what it was, and it was in the perfect spot, and all it had to be was put back together, and it would work fine just where it was. It blew my mind, and that made me think of the canals you were talking about. that submerged canals out in the Long Island Sound or out in Connecticut there. Um, Same thing. I mean, if you're managing waterways, that's what you're doing. You're
Yeah,
managing waterways, and people across the world, ancient people, manage waterways very well. Um,
yeah.
why
They
should
were
why should North
hygronomy.
America
Yeah,
be any different? Why should North America be such a cave of nothing when it comes to ancient
right,
history and technology? And why do people have to always come here? You know, the boats go two ways. They go that way also. And,
right.
you know, there's a lot of people that were here, and you made a great point. They didn't settle here because they couldn't. There were people already here. And finally,
Right.
it was until everyone died from whatever reasons, smallpox and genocide, and just the will
And
to
violence
overtake them. The will to
and
overtake
violence.
the people is what we saw, and they're all gone, but they're not gone. They're still here. They don't look like they did, but they're still here, and their importance is a lot greater than we'll ever give them credit for.
You can find out more about walls and history by going to Paleo Mountain Man or Stonewall Research Budcat 7 on YouTube.